Ciao amici, I'm Master Leo Spizzeri, and guess what? Today I'm taking you all the way to Philly for one of my favorite sandwiches. Of course I'm talking about the cheesesteak. No matter if you're a fan of Geno's or Pat's, I'm going to show you how to turn that classic into a pizza. Stick around, I'm going to show you what's next. "35 years, this never gets old." One of those things that they do in Philly is this, I don't know, I think it's unusual. They say with or without, meaning with the whiz or without. Cheez Whiz on a, I don't know, on a beef sandwich. I guess if you're in Chicago, we do a little, cheesy beef, that sort of thing. What we got here is this Cheez Whiz. This kind of like, I don't know, orange, loose, gelatinous. I don't know what you call this thing. Anyways, we got to warm this up. So this is the first thing that I'm going to stick inside the oven, and then we're going to finish it with this. I've got my oven set on low because I don't want to burn that. Now, while this is going, classic toppings. I've got sliced roast beef, provolone, green peppers, onions, the classic makings for one of those sandwiches. So first thing we're going to have to do is stretch some dough. I've got this is my American traditional dough. If you haven't seen this before, check this out. I'm going to be using King Arthur bread flour for this one. Make sure you grab yourself a digital scale and tare out the bowl. When you start weighing out all your ingredients, put everything into individual bowls. Go one at a time. Make sure you have 0 on the tare, and then put all the ingredients inside the bowl. Look at that technique right there for putting honey. I like to put a little bit of oil in there first. This way the honey releases. And then I like to stir everything with my fingers. It's the best whisk you got right there. Look at that method. I'm going to stir very slowly, and once you see that half the flour has been incorporated into the water along with the salt and the honey, I'm going to add my yeast, and then just keep stirring with your fingers until you make a paste. Put the last bit of flour in there, continue stirring until you start to feel that gluten is formed. And look at that, I can actually get it to the point where it starts to pull away from the bowl. I add the oil in at the very end, making this beautiful smooth dough. Give it a quick knead on top of the countertop, and then once you have it all kneaded and it's nice and smooth, I'm going to take that dough, cover it with some plastic. This is going to let it rest, and then go ahead, divide your dough balls out. Make sure you weigh them because you want everything consistent. This is my method for rolling dough balls. Make those points, fold them into the center, and then once I have a nice tight dough ball, I pinch it into a change purse from the bottom, and look at that, a perfect dough ball every time. Stick it into one of those Blackstone dough boxes. I like to put 6 in a box, throw a lid on top, stick that in the refrigerator until you need them, and there you go. Oh, look at these beautiful dough balls. In order to get this going, I'm going to put a little bit of flour inside this box so that I can cut them out. And then I'm going to do my classic stretch. I get a lot of comments on the Blackstone channel here, and a lot of people always talk about, hey, I noticed that you stretch dough a certain way and all this. Listen, guys, at the end of the day, all I want you to do is stretch a nice round dough. However you do it to get to the finish line is fine with me, as long as you make a beautiful, nice round pizza with it. Also, when you're done, make sure you cover up your dough balls, because those dough balls will dry out and then they'll form a weird skin, and you won't like that too much. I'm going to sprinkle the excess flour onto the board, bring it back to its shape, and I'm going to turn this into a beautiful 12-inch pizza. Again, this is one of those things that really is up to you. If you want that nice big round edge, do it in this manner. If you want a flatter pizza, make it your own. At the end of the day, this is your pizza for your family. Whatever you like best is going to be my favorite way to do it. From here, all I'm doing is just dimpling my fingers all the way around. And then what I like to do is, sometimes this is known as the Neapolitan slap technique. I pull, lift, turn, pull, lift, turn, pull, lift, turn, and then we start getting into it quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. And then all of a sudden, boom, a little flour. Here we go. Nice, round, stretched dough. One thing I will say, right here, I got a little air bubble, right? I'm going to tear this because inside one of these ovens, when it's getting really hot, those air bubbles will burn. And guess what? All of a sudden, you're going to have a burnt bubble that when you go and cut the pizza, it's going to crack and fall off. And then you have a giant hole in the side of your crust, which is not very good. What I'm going to do is I'm using whole milk mozzarella that I've cubed. These are about like, I don't know, let's call these 1/2-inch cubes, right? I'm gonna put a little bit of cheese here, and then I'm gonna spread this out pretty uniform. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my roast beef. I'm gonna take the beef like this. These slices, I'm gonna just kind of keep going around and around. This is done with very thinly sliced, raw, usually top round or something in that world, maybe a little ribeye. E, come in close, I'm gonna show you this. So what I'm doing is I'm putting this Italian beef down, and then I'm kind of making those little cubes of mozzarella fall in place all around it, right? So this way, as this melts, it's going to kind of melt into us. Next thing I'm going to do, I've got some very thinly sliced, these are julienne green peppers. These julienne green peppers are very thinly sliced because I want to make sure they have enough time to cook. Philly cheesesteak is all about the peppers and the onions, so don't be afraid to put some of these on. Onions, same thing. This is really the game. We want to put onions. We want these to cook down. They're not really caramelized when you have this sandwich, right? They're more of just kind of like that soft, translucent. Sometimes I've seen these cooked in butter and all different kinds of things. For me, I think that on top of this pizza, they're going to cook great. The last bit, and this is something I love, actually, Blackstone has a cheesesteak seasoning, and this has got all the flavors that you would traditionally see. The garlic, the onion, everything is in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just give this a little sprinkle, just like this, underneath, because the last thing that I'm going to do is provolone. Because provolone is actually very traditional on this. And I think that as this is cooking, to have that provolone on top, it's going to be very reminiscent of what that sandwich looks like. So I'm going to go all the way around. Cover this up, nice in the middle. If I do a kind of an overlap here, come on close, I'm gonna show you this. If I do this little overlap here of the cheese, right, and then put one in the middle, it's gonna take longer for this to cook. And as it's cooking, that little final last bit of, let's call it melting, will be heavier in the middle, so it'll be more creamy in the center. All right, everything that we need is here. This is all done. Now, I'm going into the Leggero Pro. I've got the oven set at about 600 degrees. Because this American traditional dough has a little honey and some other stuff, it's gonna brown perfectly. You don't need to go much hotter than that, and I guarantee it's gonna be beautiful and crispy every single time. This is the perforated peel here. It's got all these holes because it's made to slide under the pizza. If you don't feel comfortable using this particular peel, which is a Blackstone peel, go ahead and use a wooden one. That's totally fine. I'm gonna just come underneath just like this, scoop it up, adjust, and I'm gonna launch. Come on, E. Coming inside. Boom. Now that the pizza's in the oven and it's cooking, I wanna check on that cheese because the last thing we wanna do is burn it. So I'm gonna come on over. Let's take a look here. It ain't doing much, but I think that we can give this a little stir. I wanna see this kind of spreadable, because at the end, I literally want to do little dollops. So this is getting to where we want it to be, but it's not quite there yet. So quick little stir, and then this is going back into the oven. This is all going to need a couple more minutes to finish up here. I'm going to keep an eye on the ovens. You go get yourself one of those cold little drinks, whatever you got at home, and I'll meet you back here in a minute. By the smell of things, man, this pizza's ready to go. Last thing I got to do, let me grab this Cheez Whiz out of the other oven. The cheese and everything is looking great. The whiz is ready to go. I'm ready to finish this off now. If you look really closely over here, that provolone melted down into all the vegetables. The onions are translucent. I'm going to take this this Cheez Whiz here, which is now definitely nice and smooth and ready to go. And why not just give this an old little drizzle like this? Oh, normally when you go to the restaurants in Philly, they take this on like a little spatula and they kind of just like smear the middle of the sandwich and then pull, and everything comes out nice and clean. But I think this looks acceptable. I'm sure that we'll have a few hundred comments from everybody in Philadelphia about what does a guy from Chicago know about Philly cheesesteaks. And I will say, listen, you don't get a physique like this not eating a few beef sandwiches in your life. And I don't care if you're from Philly or Chicago, this is still a beef sandwich in my eyes. You know, I'm feeling this pizza with a little bit more of that cheesesteak seasoning. So I'm just gonna give this a little drizzle here, just like this on top. And that's all it needs. This finishing touch right there. We've looked at it enough. It looks gorgeous. Let me go ahead and cut it and see how we did. Man, this crust is super light, and that Cheez Whiz, with or without, look at this. I dig it. I'm going to take this slice right here and go in. Listen how crispy that crust is. Man, that's beautiful. Guys, salute. I hope this brings you back to Philly, and if you haven't been to Philly, you should definitely go to try a cheesesteak. I'm going to be honest, I don't go to Geno's and Pat's. I'm one of those guys that goes down the street. Leave it in the comments if you know what I mean. This brings me back to Philly. All the flavors, those onions, and those peppers, that Blackstone seasoning is the bomb on here. And then that final touch, that Cheez Whiz that kind of gets all over everything, makes it beautiful and greasy. I love the flavors altogether of this pizza. I hope this encourages you to go out and try this on your own. Leave it in the comments below and tell me how you all did. Guys, I'm Master Leo Spazzeri. Ciao amici!